As soon as I'm in Korea, around Korean people, I'm no longer found the Korean American adoptee. I'm just found the American. Yo, what's up? It's Found. So, where do we begin? How about who is Found and what does it mean to be a Korean American adoptee? My name is Found. I'm a Korean American who was adopted to America at 6 months old. And I currently live in Korea as a full-time B-boy. Growing up as a Korean American adoptee for me was interesting. Even though I do have Korean blood and even though I was born in Korea, I always felt different than other Korean Americans who had Korean parents and family. We might have looked similar, but I was constantly reminded that I'm not the same. I was raised by two loving white American parents and an older sister. But I was Asian. And when other more real Asians figured it out, I was automatically the whitewashed kid. And in high school, I got called names such as Twinkie. Yeah. Which, if you didn't know, refers to an Asian person who is white on the inside. It's a pretty messed up word with a pretty messed up meaning. Most of the people who called me Twinkie just so happened to be Koreans. 100% born and raised in Korea. And so you could imagine it was pretty easy for me to think, are these kids just really rude? Or is this how all Koreans will see me? You could also imagine how hearing those words from Koreans would be quite troubling for someone who already had identity issues. And to be honest, being called those names and being looked at as different than other Korean Americans and other Asians was a big pushing point for me. So it was finally time to stop being scared and to find out who I was. Luckily, my parents completely understood the troubles and feelings I had with being Korean, and they truly did their best to help lead me to answers. They helped sign me up for Korean adoptee summer camps. They went with me to Korea multiple times. They paid for Korean lessons, and they even paid for a 2-week language program here in Korea. Let's just say my parents were very open to the idea that me, an adoptee, was going to have lots of conflict, confusion, and huge amounts of curiosity for where I came from. And so, I came to Korea. My suspicions and what I'd heard from other Korean adoptees, for the most part, was true. As soon as I'm in Korea, around Korean people, I'm no longer found the Korean American adoptee. I'm just found the American. The whole time I've been living in Korea, I felt like a completely different person. Like I have a whole new identity. I feel like no matter how good I can get at Korean, and no matter how much I intertwine myself with the Korean culture, I'll never be a Korean. And the reality is, this is what it's meant for me to be a Korean American adoptee. Someone who is stuck between two identities, trying to figure out who exactly I am. But I think I need to ask myself, who do I think I am? And who do I want to be? Well, I'd love to be a Korean. I'd love for Korean people to open their arms and tell me I'm home. Because as grateful as I am to have grown up well in America, this is where I've always wanted to be. Thank you.